Hi everyone, my name is Abhuraj Garikapati. Welcome to my YouTube channel Amazing Abhai.
Ride into another world.
If we take every pirate in One Piece history, all at their absolute prime, which pirates would come out on top? I think it's finally time to answer that question. Today, we'll be ranking the top 15 strongest pirates in One Piece history, all in their absolute prime. So, let's just get right into it. At number 1, I have Joy Boy. This one shouldn't really come as a surprise. Joy Boy is one of the greatest characters in the entire series. Even after 800 years, the Haki he left behind was powerful enough to force the 5 elders out of their transformed states. To this day, that's one of the greatest feats in the entirety of One Piece. If just a fraction of his power could do something like that, imagine what Joy Boy himself was capable of at his absolute prime. That's why Joy Boy takes the number 1 spot. At number 2, I have Xebec, the leader of the most devastating pirate crew ever. This man was an absolute monster. His swordsmanship was so destructive, every swing of his blade was literally causing explosions. When he infused his sword with Haki, even some of the strongest bastards were getting blown away. And when he clashed with Harold, the sheer force of his Haki left nobody standing within a 5-kilometer radius. This is the man who pushed both Roger and Garb to their absolute limits at God Valley, leaving them half dead by the end of the battle. Yes, Rox was possessed by Emu's Domi Reversi, but the recent chapters make it pretty clear that Domi Reversi doesn't massively boost a person's strength. It mainly takes control of their will. The fact that it took Roger and Garb, 2 men constantly considered among the strongest, and One Piece history to stop him, tells you exactly how terrifying Rox really was, which is why he comes in at number 2. Coming in at number 3 is Whitebeard. Now, I honestly think the number 2 and number 3 spots could easily go either way, but for me, Whitebeard just narrowly misses out on the 2nd spot. Whitebeard held the title of the world's strongest man, even before the Great Pirate Era began, a title that not even Roger, the Pirate King himself, ever held. Roger and Whitebeard were always portrayed as equals whenever they clashed. And what's even crazier is that Whitebeard never even relied on his devil fruit during their iconic clash. Even at Marineford, an old and terminally ill Whitebeard was considered such a massive threat that the Marines assembled their entire military force just to face him, which just gives you an idea of how much of a monster prime Whitebeard really was. At number 4 comes the Pirate King himself, Gol D Roger. The only reason he's behind Whitebeard is because becoming the Pirate King was never about being the strongest. It was. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Abhai grow naturally. About conquering the Grand Line, Roger's Haki may have been second to none, but Whitebeard simply had the edge and overall power. That doesn't make Roger any less of a monster. This is the same man who sent Odin flying with a single attack, fought Whitebeard as an equal for 3 straight days, and became the only pirate in history to conquer the Grand Line. That's exactly why the Pirate King comfortably holds the 4th spot. At number 5, I have Shanks. Yes, I believe Shanks is the strongest pirate alive in One Piece right now, and to me he's one of the greatest Haki users of all time. The biggest reason? The moment Dory and Braggy witnessed Joy Boy's Haki, the very first person they compared it to was Shanks. Think about that for a second. Out of every monster they've met throughout their lives, Shanks was the closest comparison they could make. Not to mention, he completely obliterated the Kid Pirates with a single attack, the same kid who played a major role in taking down Big Mom. And the fact that even some of the strongest bastards in this series don't want any smoke with him should tell you exactly what level this man is on. That's exactly why red-haired Shanks comfortably claims the 5th spot. At number 6, I have Dracula Mihawk. Now, before the Mihawk fans come after me, the only reason I have him below Shanks is because he simply lacks enough on-screen feats. But make no mistake, this man holds the title of the world's strongest swordsman, and after seeing what some of the strongest swordsmen in the world are capable of, that title carries an insane amount of weight in the One Piece world. Not to mention, he ended up with a bounty higher than 2 Yonko, right after the warlord system was abolished, and if that's what the government thinks of him without ever seeing him go all out, just imagine what happens when he finally does. Until then, Mihawk comfortably sits at number 6. At number 7, I actually have Loki. Even though he was never portrayed as a full-fledged pirate, I'm still considering him for the sake of this list. Also, let me be clear that I am considering Loki and Ragnar as one character. The reason he climbs this high on the list is because Loki might have the single craziest feat in all of One Piece right now. This man literally one-shotted King Harold, after Harold received his powers from Amu and became a God's Knight. Not to mention, even before receiving those powers, Harold was strong enough for Rocks to consider him a worthy opponent. Then there's his broken devil fruit, a legendary power that has reached its absolute peak because of Loki's ancient giant bloodline. And the fact that he is even able to stand his ground against the great Amu should tell you exactly what kind of monster we are dealing with. And based on what's happening in the series right now, he's only going to get even stronger in the future. And for now, based on everything we've seen from him, he definitely deserves to be this high in the list. At number 8, I have Kaido. Before we move ahead, please take a second to share on this video. Sharing helps this video reach friends who may also enjoy anime, gaming, travel, cricket, chess, career basics, or personal stories. Your support helps Amazing Apai grow naturally. And I think way too many people have started underestimating him after he got defeated by Gear 5 Luffy. But let's be real, that was never a fair fight. There's a reason it was said, if it's one-on-one, always bet on Kaido. This man was practically fighting with everyone while lifting an entire island. Not to mention, he had just fought Big Mom not long before the raid even began. Now tell me, how many characters can you genuinely see pulling something like that off? Even at this point, I really don't think Luffy is quite at the level where he can beat someone like Kaido in a straight one-on-one, mainly because of his endurance. But with that being said, coming in at number 9 is Monkey D. Luffy. Yes, I have Luffy in the top 10, because despite everything, Luffy has now reached a level where he can hold his own against almost anyone in the One Piece world. His Haki is now worthy of standing alongside the very strongest, and Gear 5 is easily one of the most broken abilities in the entire series. The only thing holding him back is his endurance. Gear 5 still drains him way too quickly, and against the monsters above him, that's a weakness he simply can't afford to have. But with everything that's happening in the story right now, it won't be long before Luffy faces a Musama himself. And regardless of the outcome, he's about to reach a whole new level. At number 10 and number 11, I have Silver's Rayleigh and Scopper Gabon, the two wings of the Pirate King. And honestly, you can consider these two to be on the same level, because we've simply never seen enough from either of them to confidently put one above the other. But one thing is certain, these two were absolute monsters in their prime. We're talking about two men who mastered every form of Haki, including advanced Conqueror's Haki, and these two weren't that far behind Roger himself. Even in their old age, they're still capable of going toe-to-toe with Yonko. And if that's what they're capable of decades after their prime, just imagine how terrifying they must have been at their peak. At number 12, I have Blackbeard. When it comes to potential, Blackbeard is second to none. This man possesses two of the most broken devil fruit powers in the entire series. And if he ever fully masters using both of them together, he can easily enter the conversation for the strongest pirate of all time. Right now, he has all the tools, he just hasn't mastered them yet. And his Haki still has a long way to go. The other reason I have him this low is because of his anti-feeds. This is the same man who backed down from an old Rayleigh and struggled far more than expected against Law. So for now, he sits at number 12. But if there is one pirate who has the highest ceiling on this list, before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Apai grow naturally. It's Blackbeard. At number 13, I have Big Mom. I think people tend to underestimate her because she gets disrespected way too much in the series, and because of how her fight against Kid and Law played out. But make no mistake, thanks to her devil fruit, she can literally give life to non-living objects, using them as weapons in battle, which makes her one of the most versatile fighters in the entire series. In her prime, she was considered among the strongest pirates of her generation, strong enough to earn a place in the legendary Rocks Pirates. And later on, she went on to become a Yonko and maintain that position for decades. And that's exactly why she comfortably claims the 13th spot on this list. At number 14, I have Shiki, another member of the legendary Rocks Pirates. Shiki was considered one of Roger's greatest rivals, This is the same man who became the first person to ever escape and pedal down, and fought a 1 versus 2 battle against Garb and Sen Goku. We still don't know exactly how that fight played out, but what we do know is that very few pirates in history could have pushed those two into the same battle. The only reason I don't have him above Big Mom is because we simply don't know enough about what Prime Shiki was truly capable of. That's exactly why he claims the 14th spot on this list. At number 15, I have Kuzan, the former admiral and one of the strongest marines to ever exist. This is the same man who went toe-to-toe with old Garb and pushed Akainu to an extreme, diff battle that lasted 10 straight days. A battle so insane, it permanently changed the climate of an entire island. He's also a true master of his devil fruit, making him one of the most dangerous fighters in the entire series. Not to mention, even the entire Blackbeard crew wanted no smoke with him, and that's exactly why he claims the final spot on this list. So that was my list. Now, before you start flaming me in the comments, there are a few pirates that came incredibly close to making the top 15. The first one is the vice captain of the red-haired pirates, Ben Beckman. Originally, I actually had him above Kuzan, but we have yet to see what he is truly capable of. Narratively, he should be much closer to Shanks than most people think. Then there's Marco, another legendary pirate who just barely misses out on the top 15. And some other honorable mentions are Zoro, Law and Sanji. If this was the top 20, they definitely have a strong case for making the list. Of course, this is just my opinion, so let me know what your top 15 looks like. And if you enjoyed this ranking, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And with that, I guess I'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Amazing Apai. Subscribing makes sure you do not miss the next video, and it gives me motivation to keep improving the quality of every upload. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.